We kneel, we close our eyes, we fold our hands, and then we speak to someone, to something, to the unseen. We call it prayer, we call it hope. But if we stripped away the stained glass, the holy books, the rituals, what would prayer look like? Would it still feel sacred, or would it look like someone whispering into a mirror hoping for an answer that never comes? They say prayer changes things, but what if it doesn't? What if it never has? What if it only changes us or comforts us or distracts us? Is that enough? Is that divine? Or is that just psychology dressed up in robes and incense? We want to believe someone's listening, but we can't prove that anyone ever has. So why do we keep talking? Because silence scares us. Because chaos scares us more. Because to accept randomness is to accept that life isn't fair. That good people die. That children suffer. That tragedy picks targets at random. And prayer, for all its vagueness, offers a story, a framework, a hope. Even if it's hollow, even if it's just noise echoing inside our own heads. If someone prays and nothing changes, was it still prayer? If a child begs God to save their dying parent and the parent dies, was that prayer ignored? Or never heard? Or heard and denied? These are the questions we avoid. The ones we hide under phrases like God's plan or mysterious ways. But what if there's no mystery, just silence? Imagine watching someone talk to a wall every night, pouring their heart out, crying, thanking, begging. We'd call that delusion. But when it's prayer, we call it devotion. Why? What changed? The wall? Or our story about it? We've been conditioned to believe that prayer is noble. But what if it's just coping? A survival instinct in a world that rarely answers back. Prayer gives us structure, a beginning, a middle, an end, a habit, a rhythm. Something to do when there's nothing else to do. Something to say when there's nothing left to say. It makes us feel less helpless, less alone. But does it connect us to something greater? Or does it just keep us from falling apart? People say they felt peace in prayer, a warmth, a presence. But peace can be neurological. Feelings don't prove facts. People feel peace in drugs, in meditation, in music. Does that mean those things are divine or just powerful? Why does prayer get a pass? Why does feeling good while praying equal proof that God is near? Because we want it to. Because we're human. Because the idea that no one's listening is unbearable. So we wrap it in rituals, in candles, in scriptures. We make it sacred. We make it mean something. But deep down, maybe we know. We're just talking to ourselves and hoping the echo comes back with comfort. Some say prayer is communication. Others say it's communion. But communion with what? When answers don't come, when tragedy still strikes, when prayers go unanswered by the millions, what are we communing with? Ourselves? Each other? Or the illusion that we're not alone in this mess? The church says prayer is power. But what kind of power requires silence in return? What kind of power can't be measured or tested or verified? If a scientist claimed a force existed but couldn't show it, we'd demand proof. But when it's religion, we lower the bar. We accept the mystery, we call it faith. But faith doesn't answer questions, it avoids them. It shields us from the terror of truth. It tells us silence is sacred, that absence is presence, that no is just a better yes. These are the gymnastics of theology, designed to protect belief when reality won't cooperate. If prayer worked, hospitals would be empty, wars would stop, famine would end. But none of those things have happened. Not because we don't pray hard enough, but because maybe, just maybe, prayer was never meant to work. Maybe it was meant to soothe, not solve. And maybe that's okay. Maybe self-soothing is still useful. Maybe talking to ourselves is better than silence. Maybe we don't need miracles, we just need meaning. But then let's stop pretending prayer is divine intervention. Let's call it what it is: ritualized reflection, internal dialogue, emotional first aid. Prayer, like poetry, doesn't have to be true to be beautiful. It doesn't have to change the world to change us. But when we dress it up in divine guarantees, we set ourselves up for disillusionment. And when prayers fail, as they often do, the silence can feel like betrayal. And so we retreat deeper into faith. We say we misunderstood God's timing, or didn't use the right words, or weren't worthy. anything but admit the obvious. Maybe no one was listening. Maybe the silence wasn't spiritual. Maybe it was just silence. But silence isn't evil. It's just honest. And honesty, while painful, can be freeing. We can stop pretending, stop bargaining, stop waiting for a sign, and start acting, start helping, start listening to each other, if not to something higher. Because if there's no one up there, then we're all we've got. And that's terrifying, but it's also empowering. Because if no one's answering, then it's on us to respond, to show up, to heal, to forgive, to change things. That's harder than prayer, but it's real. And maybe reality, however uncomfortable, is holier than illusion. So pray if it helps. Whisper your hopes, speak your fears. But don't confuse silence for presence, and don't wait for the sky to answer when your neighbor's the one in need. Because maybe the real miracle isn't that God listens, it's that we can. And maybe we've been the answer we were waiting for all along.